understand, Chris, but you see, as an African-American man, you're offended by him being held up as your leader, so to speak. But don't think that it reflects on your people any more than I think than holding up, let us say, a white person of low value speaking for me. I mean, does Al Gore speak for me? I think Al Gore is a phony who should be in prison for the lie he's trying to pull on the world, for example. I think he's a criminal. I think he's running a criminal enterprise and one of the greatest propagandists of all time who won't even debate actual scientists on this the myth of global warming. So who the media elevates has nothing to do with reality. In other words, I don't feel bad because Al Gore is held up as a role model. I think he's a complete fraud, the same way you do about Sharpton.
Fraud. He's a fraud, and he needs to be exposed. He does a disservice.
All right, let's go the other way. Let's be positive. As a white man, I hold up Clarence Thomas to me as a black man who I respect. Who would you put in the top 5?
In terms of people I respect, black people?
Yes.
Well, I'd put Clarence Thomas. I'd also say somebody like when J.C. Watts was in Congress, someone who stood up against the Congressional Black Caucus and their games that they play. This doesn't
wait. This is interesting. It's a great topic, Chris, because this is almost a very interesting topic unto itself. It is strange that both you, a black man, and I, a white man, cannot name that many black men who are heroic, truthfully, for their achievements, but yet there are many. And that is because the media will not let us know who they are, because I would guess that if I were to find a black surgeon living today who performed miracles in a hospital, he would probably be conservative politically and therefore of no use to the socialist agenda. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I do. Yes, I do. Yep.
All right, so it's the same here. Only those who can be used to move the socialist agenda forward, it doesn't matter what their races are held up as role models. You can find the same with Hispanics or with Asians. Try to name 5 great Asians, and yet there are more than 5, I can guarantee you. And yet you're only going to hear about Cesar Chavez. Why? He was a communist labor leader. That's how it works when you have a communist media.
I mean, Michael Jackson, a man who changed himself, who was depressed, who was a drug addict, we're going to hold him up. And I mean, I worship God. I don't worship Michael Jackson. I'm sorry.
Now you're touching on another theme here, Chris. Beware of false idols. Do not bow down to false idols. Is that not what you are seeing going on in America today?
That's what I'm seeing going on.
It is idol worship of biblical proportions. It is idol worship of biblical proportions that we, the God-fearing, non-idol worshipers, are offended by. We are in sync with the ancients in the sense of the ancient Hebrews and the ancient Christians, to be honest with you, and I guess that's why we are hated by the state worshipers called the Marxist Socialist Obamaites.
Exactly.
Chris, look, I'm really glad you called, because one thing about some callers is they'll bring something out in you, makes you think. You help me think. I guess what it comes down to at the end of the day is that I don't worship man, okay? I was taught from childhood, do not bow down to man. Do not worship man. Do not worship false idols. And we are seeing a nation that has been so debased that it is literally worshiping a false idol who they didn't even know existed a month ago. Now, that's the strange part, is it not, Chris?
That's very strange.
The man was not even remembered a month ago. No one even talked about him. How did he suddenly become so important in a week?
Oh, because it's the deification, and they want to make messiahs out of people who have these flaws and put these up as examples to our kids, and they're not examples. They were
Chris, when you say he mutilated himself, did he not undergo surgery to alter his face to look like a different race?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Well, that would mean that he's a man who was ashamed of his own heritage.
That's right, was ashamed.
So why would we hold up a man who mutilated himself because he was ashamed of his own ethnicity as a role model for children of that particular ethnicity, unless you're trying to tell them they should be ashamed of themselves?
Right, exactly. And they try to Al Sharpton out to talk about, to put down.
No, it's unbelievable when you have a false idol like this, glorified hero worship, and yet who's eulogizing him? A man who egged on a crowd with Freddie's Fashion Mart the fire, and a man who made up a story about a white detective smearing feces on a woman. And the media doesn't say a word to this guy. When he goes on Fox News, they practically lick his boots. Have you seen it? Have you seen what they do with him on Fox News?
I've seen it. They call every opinion. They reach out to him. We need Al Sharpton's opinion. We need to find out.
By the way, can someone help me with this? Where did he get his divinity degree from?
I don't think he has one. It's called the Jack Lade Preaching School. That's the way he has it.
Oh, you're bad. I'll be right back.
On the air, online, and on the go. This is Talk 910 KNEW.
You know, I'm reading comments in newspapers around the country over this. I'm not the only one. Listen to this one. This was in the local San Francisco newspaper, and I agree with it. He says, I am trying to avoid the TV coverage of this, but I watched CBS long enough to see a garish gold coffin, real classy, and hear Katie Couric speaking in hushed tones like it was the funeral of a U.S. president. All this, he writes, for a child perv with a handful of #1 hits. I mean, come on. By the time Michael Jackson died, he more resembled that 60s singer Tiny Tim than anybody else. The attention devoted to this goofball's death is a sorry display for our country and for Western civilization as a whole. Bravo. I didn't know there was anyone in San Francisco who could still write like that, but he did. Unbelievable to see this is going on, a circus like this. It's unbelievable to me that we see so many millions of morons in the country not understanding what this is all about and how they're worshiping basically a false idol. And you have to ask yourself, and I'll go back and get it over with. It'll be over today. I pray to God by tomorrow. I doubt it. I think the jackasses in the media will not let this go because they don't want to cover North Korea and Obama's failure to respond. They did not want to cover the threat from Iran. They did not want to cover the fact that Obama and Hillary Clinton are on the same side as Fidel Castro and Chavez and the Sandinistas with regard to Honduras. They want the idiots to continue to be useless and useful idiots. And so they then continue to blind them with this nonsense. So I have to do this. This is my job. 1-800-449-8255. It is the Savage Nation, unlike any other show in America, in so many different ways. No one's calling about the Fox? Elaine, Las Vegas, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Michael, I just want to tell you, you're not crazy. It's normal to have, or let's put it this way, your heart is so compassionate. That's why you felt so bad for that fox, because I saw a rabid fox on the road one day, and I tried to get it out of the way, and I ended up getting my finger scraped and ended up getting the shots. But you're very compassionate, and I'm starting to study Jeremiah, the prophet, and you know what? He had such compassion for the people, and that's who you remind me of. And then the third thing, I do agree with your analysis of Obama, because
he's conveniently out of the country, is he not? Why is this man on training wheels always running away from America? Why is he out again? I mean, he failed us with North Korea. He did nothing. He failed us with Iran. He did nothing. He failed to support democracy in Iran. He failed to support democracy in Honduras. In fact, he's taking the side of the dictator, and he's conveniently out of the country, correct?
Yes, and that's my point that I wanted to add, is this man does not like to stay home. And the reason why he doesn't like to stay home is because fundamentally he does not know how to have healthy relationships.
Well, that's a psychological question that will take time to analyze. I did a piece back in October called Obama on the Couch, where I said he has a woman problem because of the way his mother was always leaving him behind, and I think that was a valid analysis. I think that at some point people will see that much of his megalomania and his narcissism is related to his upbringing. Thank you. I mean, what makes, Sammy run and what makes a man tick? It's all related to parents and things of that nature. So why should he be any different is the question. New York City, WOR. Joe, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Michael, there's a level of hypocrisy with this Michael Jackson thing that I think needs to be discussed. The Michael Jackson coverage with this media, this is the same media that worked feverishly to expose him as a pedophile several years ago, to call into question his mental fitness when he was changing his face and his skin color was changing. This is the same group of media that basically reduced him to a laughingstock. You mentioned that he was off the map on people's minds. Anytime his name was mentioned, he was He was a joke. He was
correct. Nobody, I doubt that anyone listening to this show gave him much thought in the last years or months. Why all of a sudden is there almost a mass hysteria going on? How could the media make so many people think he was important? The same way that they took an unknown junior senator and elevated him to the level of a presidential candidate and now want you to believe he is a dignified, superb world leader, is the same group that is taking this singer who was unknown and forgotten and making America think that he is something other than a singer. It's the same media that elevated Obama that is elevating Jackson. That's how I see it.
And you have a collection of people who, by the way, were eating up these jokes. I mean, he was punchlines on things like Saturday Night Live, YouTube videos, and these are the people, I mean, now those same people who were eating all that stuff up are down at the Staples Center grieving.
Oh, you mean the people who were laughing at him on YouTube and all of that, and now suddenly they're worshiping him.